What's up, everybody? Once again, it is I, James, coming to you from the Nerdy Mewzings podcast studio. I am so excited to be joined today by Mr. DJ Coffman, one of the many behind this crazy thing that's taken the comics world by storm. That would be VeeFriends by Gary Vee. DJ, how you doing today, man?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. You're fresh off a meeting. You're getting a little downtime with me.
They're good. They're good meetings, you know. They're good.
This
meetings,
is work adjacent, right? We're still talking comics and art and all the things that we love, but we won't make it too serious. I won't grill you too much.
Yeah. Well, comics meetings, they're good meetings. So
Can only be so. Yeah. Yeah. As long as we're comics adjacent, we're good, right?
Right. Yeah. Right on.
Is that love of comics been with you a long time?
I mean, yeah, man. My first, probably since I was a little kid, really. I think my first real comics that I collected were at my barbershop. My dad would take me to the local barbershop.
Nice.
I've heard this a lot, by the way.
There's a lot of people. Too.
It's a weird connection, but like the old school barbershop with a little spinner rack.
I think I remember Rob Liefeld saying something about that too, like trading the barber for a comic the barber had that he wanted or something.
It's such a father-son bonding experience going to the barbershop. I can't say that my dad really, the rack was just really there, but
right.
It wasn't until I was about 8 years old. I always have the GI Joe number 21 back there.
I love it.
That was the moment for me when I was about 8, when I opened that up and I had the epiphany, because I played with the toys. I loved the commercials, and like the cartoons, and played with imagination with all my friends. Yeah. But that was the first time I realized, like, wow, this is someone's job. And just like my dad goes to work, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And then that was it for me, man. That was it. Like cartoon tunnel vision all the way. That's all I ever wanted to do, was make comics and figure that out. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know what any of that meant. This was in the 1980s.
Yep.
Nobody was teaching you how to do this or be this. And
no,
it just sounded crazy. Like, parents would say, oh, that's cute. Like, oh, why don't you go work for Disney? Or they didn't even know comic books were a thing. So you get your comics on the newsstands, so.
Yeah, it never seemed like a viable thing to like do as a job or a career. Like it was very obscure. Like I remember the first time I learned that it was drawn bigger than, bigger than the size the comic was printed out.
Yeah, right.
It was crazy.
And then you learn that, like, you learn the 11 by 17. And then when you get really into it, you learn that they used to draw comics like 24 inches by whatever. So that's crazy.
Absolutely. You got a kitty cat behind you, man.
Yeah, that's her spot. So
I like it.
She may wake up and attack me at any moment, but we'll see. That'll be good.
I can't let mine in here. They'll chew the comics on the bottom of the. We got a couple younger ones, and they will get over there and would
absolutely
not
be good. Yeah, yeah, she's pretty chill. So she's like my parrot or something. If it's a pirate ship, that's the parrot.
There you go. Yeah. So comics were in your blood, and you were starting to realize that this is something that people actually did for a livelihood, and it became this thing that was a viable pursuit. So where did you go with that? I know that's a very loose term, being a viable pursuit, but
I would say yes. No, I didn't really meet anybody that did that. I was 7th grade, Southern California. My family had moved from Pennsylvania to Southern California. So I was thrown into this whole other world too. And I had an art teacher named Mr. Crump, who his whole art classroom was paper mache figures of like Calvin and Hobbes and Garfield, and like it was like walking into a comic strip. So that was the closest thing I had to comic strips and comics were just all one thing to me.
Yeah.
And so that was like my first kind of real mentor, that he was like doing children's books on the side as a school teacher, and he would show us his works and things like that. So I was like, wow, this dude's cool. And he saw that spark in me and was like, kind of would pull me, 7th grade, what are you going to do? But he would pull me aside and say, like, this is a viable thing. Like, you can do this. This is how you submit you would submit your work to comic strips or newspaper syndicated strips. And so I was kind of always towing that line where comic strips, yes, big comic strip fan. And so that was more viable because the path that you'll see a lot of cartoonists take is to call it, your school newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a cartoon in the school newspaper. I couldn't do that because the seniors had all locked it in. Like the senior cartoonists were the ones, and you had to wait for them to age out of school. And then you were next in line. So I was like the last there was no other cartoonist when the seniors left. So I just got right into the school journalism and printing press and learning all about that. And by happenstance, comics history, I'm not sure how well, you're probably pretty well versed, but from the comic strip side, my graphic design teacher happened to know Milton Caniff.
Oh, wow.
Who had just passed away in Palm Springs, because I went to Palm Springs High School. He had passed away probably a couple years, maybe a year or so before this. And one of his assistants had come in and brought all those big Terry and the Pirates and Steve Canyon's pages into our graphics design class. And I was kind of mesmerized then. I was like, what is all this? Like, this is crazy. And like, he was one of the best.
Definitely.
I was pretty young and stupid, so I didn't really appreciate it as much in high school as I do now. Like going like, holy crap. Like, what are the odds of that?
In the presence of such greatness.
I didn't even know. I had no idea. Because now you could see, like, I got Terry and the Pirates and stuff back there. And like, so I really just always felt that throughout high school. And, my art teacher, the good one, was in 7th grade. He retired. And then I got more of a regular art teacher, I'd say, where she actually told my parents I had cartoon tunnel vision. I wouldn't make it.
No.
Like he's not going to make much of himself because he's got cartoon tunnel vision. He should learn industrial design and, all this stuff. And I kind of turned down because I was just so stubborn. It was the 90s and I was like growing up in the, the 90s, like
image,
rebel everything.
The image rebellion.
Yeah. And just rebel in life in general in the 90s. And, I turned down going to the Rhode Island School of Design because I was just like, that's all the way in Rhode Island. How the heck would I get over there? I'm in Southern California. This is before the internet. So I was just like, I don't want to go do that. I want to make comics, and it's happening in Southern California. So, we used to ditch school and like go to the Image Comics building in Anaheim. And,
oh my goodness,
we're always like San Diego Comic-Con trying to break in. Like, gosh, my work wasn't. It was terrible, not terrible. I was doing my best, but come on, they were being kind to me if they said that it was good. Yeah. But when you're 15 or 16, you're just like, oh, you see these guys back then, like Joe Mad and Rob Liefeld and all those guys at Extreme Studios. They were hiring pretty young dudes.
They were.
So I was like, okay, I got to break in. And, so that's where you would go to try to break in. I got to know briefly Danny Mickey. Oh yeah, one of the anchors at Extreme Studios, and he had long story there I won't get into, but he had invited me to go tour the office at Extreme. Yeah. So me and my friend just ditched school, went to Anaheim, which was about an hour drive or something like that, and got up into we went up there quite a few times. I got to meet Todd McFarlane in the elevator.
Sweet.
And I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. I'm gonna make this happen. I'm gonna work here somehow. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not gonna drop out of school and come work at Image Comics. So it was a cool experience for sure to kind of see behind the scenes of what an actual studio looked like, at that time.
In the days of studios.
Those were the big days. I just talked to Rob Liefeld. I met him for the first time officially at a dinner we had in New York City for New York Comic Con. And I just made conversation. I was like, you kicked me out of your Extreme Studios when I was a little kid, and he was like, oh, listen, there was so many things that would go missing. And then now I understand as an adult. I told him, I was like, no, dude, I totally understand. Cause we have a lot of youngsters in the VeeFriends office now. And I'm like, oh my God, there's so many things that are, just laying around that are worth money and stuff. So I was like, oh my gosh. So, but yeah, it was cool. Like we were there during the Bad Rock I don't know if you remember. There used to be a Bad
I
Rock
remember
suit,
it all, dude. Yep, the suit.
and
They had the ship that they would take to the cons at one
yeah.
point.
So we
Yeah.
were there during the Wizard photo shoot of the Bad Rock suit, and I just remember Rob Liefeld running in and going to Danny Mickey and Norm Ratman, who shared an office, and he's like, "Who are these kids? Get them out of here!" And I was just like, "Wow, this guy's an a-hole," you know? Like, I was like, as a 16-year-old, that was my first real experience seeing him mad or
Yeah.
angry, and I was like, "Wow, never meet your heroes," kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So I was able to tell him that and say like, "Wow, it's just really funny how full circle things come in life."
Definitely.
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
I have a connection with Extreme that I did not steal from Extreme Studios, but this is pretty cool. This is Extreme Studio dog tag.
I have one of those somewhere.
Dan Fraga, this was his. He gave it to me. It was
Yeah.
awesome memory as a kid.
I got one of those at San Diego Comic-Con one year.
There you
They
go.
had them at, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This one was around the neck of Dan Fraga, though.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just giving you a bad time. No, it's awesome because when we were, because I was around that same age range, and it is just like there was such a magic to everything back then.
Yeah, Southern California was just popping, and yeah, so much. If you could go back in time and just like, wow, you had it. Like I've brushed with greatness with meeting Jack Kirby once, and again,
goodness.
like not really understanding the level of awesomeness that was, as a young punk, like, but yeah, it was such a cool time in Southern California, and for comic books in general, it was just everything was just popping off back then. So
now, you said you were showing your work, you were submitting your work, and it wasn't on the level that you wanted it to be to get work and break in. Were you given good advice that helped you get more in that direction?
Oh, sure. I mean, the typical advice that people would give you, and probably the typical advice that I give people now, like, hey, work on your anatomy, and like work on not just anatomy, but just, composition and structure and read and all the things that kids don't want to do. Like, I'm
Exactly.
like, I'm not going to really go study. I'm just going to draw some badass stuff, So because I was following the likes of Todd McFarlane, who said like, who cares if it doesn't look right? Just draw it smashing through a wall and draw a shit ton of bricks, right? And
if in doubt, black it out.
Right. So, but then when you start to get older, I did, after we can get into that, but like you do start to go back and see like who taught them that? Who did they learn from? Oh, wait, Milton Caniff. Oh, Alex Toth. Like you start to study all these masters and you're like, oh my God, like where does the when in doubt, black it out come from? Noel Sickles, who was a partner with Milton Caniff. So like there's just so much history of comics, and for someone that has cartoon tunnel vision, comics tunnel vision, I just love it. Like, I still absorb it. I'm 50 now, and man, I'm always learning and absorbing and trying to make my art better too. So yeah.
Yeah, you've got me by a year, so we definitely were coming. I'll be 50 next year, so we were in that same time frame of that, just the way the scene was, and it really did feel like, being a younger guy, that the opportunity was there to break in.
Yeah. And then, there's stages of that in comic books, which is just really fascinating too. I didn't start making money with comics or getting jobs until probably 97 or 98. I was going to Mid-Ohio because I'd moved back to Pittsburgh. Way cheaper to live the East Coast, by the way. Mm-hmm. Way cheaper to live on the East Coast. I moved back to the Pittsburgh area where I am now. And I started meeting guys that worked for Marvel, like Ernie Steiner, who did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., lived like a couple towns away. And
wow.
And then you would learn like those guys would go and they were the grinders. They were the ones that were working on all these things. They didn't have big names. They weren't a Rob Liefeld, or they weren't like the Big Seven dudes, but like they were grinders. And then they would just get fired because they were old. Like they would hit 50 and it'd be like, well, we need a young, hot guy. For this job. And so that was kind of like eye-opening too. But my breakthrough really came through the internet, because the old Bendis message boards, you were
on the Bendis board.
Not only was I on the Bendis boards, but Brian came up around, he was in Cleveland, I was in Pittsburgh. So around the same time, he had Boom Boom Studios, and he was going
Mm-hmm.
around self-publishing stuff. So we would meet around Mid Ohio Con, Pittsburgh Comic Con, all these places, and we just got to kind of know each other by happenstance. So like if he knows me, he sees me now and goes like, "Oh wow, it's DJ. What are you doing?" I'm like, of course I have tattoos and things now, but
Yeah.
uh, yeah. But I would go to the Jinx board, and I would go or the Bendis board, and the Digital Webbing was a place.
I was going to ask you if you were there. We probably
Yeah,
crossed paths.
so
We
yeah,
probably
Digital
were both on
Webbing
there.
was okay. Ryan Otley was there. All of us, like
That's
all
when
these
I
guys,
first when
all
I
these old
first
school.
met Ryan Otley and Ryan Stegman was both through Digital Webbing.
Yeah. So I just hustled my ass off on the internet pretty much. And I was on those forums because there would be writers that needed to have artists to submit.
Yep.
And we would all undercut each other. It's like, oh, he'll do it for $20, he'll do it for 35. I'll do it for $20 a page. And like,
Yep.
so we were just constantly, whatever style someone was looking for, there was plenty of abundance to go around, to be honest.
Yeah.
And half the time those samples didn't go anywhere, but you could make a couple $100.
For sure.
And then web comics, like I jumped into web comics because I realized, well, wait, I don't even need to work for Marvel or DC. More people are going to read my web comic than
Yep.
anything. And like it could build your 1,000 true fans. I just learned this stuff and I believed in it so early. And yeah, away that went really. Like the internet just kind of changed everything for
sure.
a lot of people,
Yeah, and they even had Digital Webbing Presents, that anthology that they would do. I think that was Otley's first published work was in one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This feels like a crash course of my career, really, because from that board, I think I got the job on that board for a guy named Brian Lynch, who now we used to call him Hollywood's Brian Lynch. It was funny because he was trying to be a screenwriter.
Okay.
His friends were Kevin Smith and all the dudes from Red Bank, New Jersey, all the View Askew guys. And he's like, "Hey, you want to draw a webcomic with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then we were like, "Hey, I want to do this. Hey, by the way, my friends are Kevin." And I was like, "Oh my God, I love Clerks and I love all that stuff." And then we did Monkey Man Unleashed, but we also did webcomics. And from there, that was just an explosion of movie poop shoot happened. So
I remember that.
So Ryan Otley, one of his first jobs was Ted Noodleman.
Yes,
so
I remember Ted.
So I launched the comics there with, I was one of the first with Brian Lynch with Monkey Man Unleashed. So I drew that with Brian Lynch. There was Ted Noodleman from Ryan, and Chris Ryell was our editor. So he went on to, he's forever and ever around. And so that was like I drew the logo actually in a rush for Movie Poop Shoot for Kevin Smith. Cause he's like, I'm going to be on Jay Leno. And this is before, this is early internet. So like there was no way to do print on demand. Like it was Dazzle or some weird bad program. And overnighting it, like there was just enough time to get him that logo so he could wear it on the Jay Leno show. And yeah, we did that for a couple years or so. And then that just kind of took off, web comics for me, it just made sense. I was like, I don't even really need to play in the comic book world, but of course I still loved comic books. So would always just kind of dance back and forth with a lot of independent publishers.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like you were at that perfect moment where you weren't really needing to be reliant on breaking in with one of the big two.
Yeah.
To fulfill your creative passion and do comics like you wanted to.
Yeah. I think the only reason I ever tried to pursue it after that was the credibility, probably in like just my family in small towns and stuff where it's like, oh, you draw comics? Do you draw for Marvel though? Like, and you're like, well, but I'm making thousands of dollars a month for my house on webcomics. That's not good enough. Like I got to have a credit, So, it's a weird thing, especially when you're young. Now I just don't care about any of that really. Like that didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
And there used to be this print versus web thing for a while. That's kind of faded away. Thank goodness.
It has.
And, but I was in the crux of that, like, well, you guys just aren't good enough to be, but meanwhile I was, I did full-time comics for different publishers, whether it was Brian Lynch or other writers, for 13 years full time before I took a full time job again.
Right.
And even that was working with like YouTubers and like helping them with their merch designs and stuff like that. So it was always a creative,
Yeah.
comics were always a consistent thing, no matter what I was doing, for sure.
You mentioned kind of having a little bit of a hankering of wanting to try to do something for the big two. Did you have kind of a dream gig that you would want to land?
I mean, man, I think I did run around for a little bit, chasing a couple of the editors that were like, hey, come up and show us your samples for some Spider-Man stuff. There was some side Spider-Man. I was like, oh my God, that would be crazy. I always thought Fantastic Four, there was a couple of moments where Fantastic Four was different.
Mhm.
And then it just got kind of boring again. So I thought, well, that's a book that would be fun to work on if they just would let me go nuts on it.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm kind of I kind of fancy myself as a writer artist, and there wasn't a whole lot of that at that time, for sure.
Yeah. You
It was
didn't have
like,
the room.
yeah. So, but I like, and now even working with like Jim Rugg, I've known Jim Rugg for 30 years. And we agree that like artists that can do it all, it just makes for a better end story somehow.
Sure.
Like, cause you just know the colors that you're looking for, or the shape of your lettering balloons and stuff like that. It just comes out more like the artist's vision or the writer's vision.
It does, and the passion of the project carries over into the work.
Yeah.
You can tell when a creator is putting all of themselves into it, the end product, it's conveyed in that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
always neat to see. I prefer that. I love it when people write and draw their own stuff. I just had Brandon Paul on. I don't know if you know who he is, but he does this comic called Chuck Maxwell, Adventures of Chuck Maxwell. And this guy just came out of nowhere with this thing, wrote it, penciled, inked, colored it, and put it out. And it's like taking everybody by storm. It's like, and it's so good. It's like pro level, like he's been in the industry for 20 years or something, and he hasn't.
Yeah.
And but it just shows in the passion of what he did, and it's like the story he just had to tell.
Yeah, people are hungry for new stories too. And there's plenty of people, even outside of the comic book industry, which is kind of a little sandbox of people that go to their local shops and things like that. There are many people that want to read comics, and they just want new stories too. They love the old stuff, and I still love the old stuff too, but they're just hungry for new stories.
Yeah.
Right around that 2006 or so, I got probably what I call my 15 minutes of fame in comics, was winning the comic book challenge by Platinum Studios. And one of the judges was Mark Silvestri. So it was like this cool
Amazing.
full circle, so I won that. And for Hero by Night, and everyone really liked Hero by Night, and it was really good. Platinum always had some kind of, dramas around it and stuff like that. There was always, I think just a lot of drama in comic books, really. And I'm just like, I'm just here to make cool stories and draw stuff, and like, but I'd had friends going like, we can't believe you're working for those people or this people. I'm like, I'm putting food on my table for my family. I was raising 3 kids, and I was proud of myself because I'm like, hey, everybody that said I had cartoon tunnel vision and couldn't do it, it's like, here we are, I'm doing it. Like, I don't care if you don't know or not, but it's a tough job. Like, it's definitely a tough grind. You never know where the next thing's going to come from. You've seen it, right? Like, we see these hot stars that come up and go, and like, oh my God, it's the biggest thing ever. And now they're in a quarter bin, and like they're working at Target.
Exactly.
Like it's kind of a sad thing, but like, I always feel like if it's in you though, you might have a season where you're kind of away and then you come back again. Like, you see those consistent faces come back again, so.
Yeah. And the people that it's just like in their soul, they like have to create art.
Yeah.
And it never leaves them. It's like, I mean, our buddy Todd Beats is a good example of that.
Yeah.
That guy's
absolutely.
had a very roundabout way to end up where he is now,
Yeah.
But it never left him, and he came back, and now he's like, ever since he did that first Battle Beast variant, it's just taken the world by storm.
Yeah, I think for a while I kind of, I don't know if I went away from comics, but I kind of had my personal life kind of fell apart. I went through a divorce, like all this stuff after 16 years. And like, I got a really stable job working with like YouTubers, and that was fun. And I did my comics on the side, but I realized like this isn't my career. You know, like this isn't like the comics aren't my career.
Right.
And like it kind of did hurt to have like friends because I'm like, hey, I'm working with Platinum Studios. They're the Men in Black people and the Cowboys and Aliens, whatever. I thought that was kind of a cool thing, but everybody's like, that's lame. You know, that's lame. That's not real. And I'm like, oh man, here we are again. Like, unless I go work for Marvel or DC, I'm not going to be taken seriously. And then the guys I know that work for Marvel or DC, some of them weren't even getting paid, or they were like, my checks aren't coming. Or and I'm like, this does not sound stable at all. So I think there's like a disillusion for a little bit. And then I got with, out of the blue, you know, like I always say, like Hero by Night was one of those moments where it was like the lightning bolt of lightning in a bottle. Like the concept was good. It had nostalgia feeling to it. I loved it. It was everything. It was like my love letter to comic books.
Right.
And people really enjoyed it. So it had like that dirt, like, oh, the Platinum stuff that people would, I was like, yeah, but please read the stories. They're really good. And then I was disillusioned by that. But then another time, another concept hit in like 2013. And I was like, well, this is a good one. This is another good one. It was called Godchild, and I was pitching it around to some publishers in like 2013, 2014. And Gary Vee from Caliber Comics actually saw, like, he turned it down at first, and then he read it, and he emailed me, and he was like, oh man, this is really good. I'd like to work with you on this. So I was like, oh, cool. You know, like I loved Caliber back in the day, like The Crow and all this stuff. And again, Brian Bendis and all those dudes came up through Caliber. And I was like, there's just a cool independent comic book company, right? Yep. And then Gary passed away. Randomly, just like, what? Like, man. So that was just depressing, dude. Like, I'm like, what are we even doing here? So I quit that project on issue 5. I have 4.5 issues of that done. And I was like, I just can't go. Like, life kind of just hits you like that.
Yep.
And I was like, well, I guess this just wasn't meant to be. You know, so back to web comics, back to, you know, grinding, you know, that kind of style. So,
yeah. It's funny how things just weave all over the place. Like there's all these forks in the paths of our life.
Yeah.
And it sounds like web comics and in that area has kind of been a mainstay for you throughout all of this.
Yeah. And still to this day, I still believe, you know, I think, you know, they won't listen to me, but like, I would have talks with some people at DC a few years back now, and I'd say like, you guys need to have daily comic strips. Mm-hmm. Like, why don't you have a daily web comic with your top dudes on it? Like get Craig Capullo to be doing a Spider-Man, you know, like a Batman daily comic strip. It would be. I talked to J. Scott Campbell about this too, and he's like, that's interesting. But they all see it as like, boy, that's too much of a workload. I'm like, it's 4 panels. When you add it up, it's only a couple pages a week, you know, if you really. So I was talking to Jay Scott about that. And he was like, I guess you're right. And he's like, but in the end, you know, you want a comic book. You don't want the comic.
I wonder if maybe the technological side of it doesn't throw them off a little bit too.
A little, maybe.
You know?
Yeah. But when they see someone like a Penny Arcade or, you know, those guys were, you know, there's a lot of webcomics out there that really blew up and just did their own thing. They weren't in comic books at all. But they've got so many followers that they've built their own empires, you know, like PAX and Penny Arcade Expo and all those guys. So there's definitely different ways of doing things than the comic book industry, but I still love the comic book industry. You know, I love comic book stores and I love old school comics. And I think that's kind of why also someone like Gary Vee, when he met me, he was like, you're the fucking dude. Like you're the dude for this. So
well, it sounds like you haven't had a conventional approach since day one. Like you're around during the early times of kind of the internet changing things a little bit, for having the ability for artists to find work and pivot and do these different types of projects other than going to a big publisher and whatnot. So Gary's all about pivoting and doing things other people haven't done. So that had to resonate with him quite a bit when he looked at your resume.
Yeah. And I mean, I had followed Gary, a weird path there too. I used to watch Conan O'Brien at night.
Okay.
Really late at night. I was a big Conan O'Brien fan. And like he popped up on there as a wine guy.
Yeah, I remember
sipping
the wine.
And it was like, And so, I remembered him from there, and I saw something about crush it, pursuing your passions. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm down with this. And I'm like, oh my God, it's the wine guy from Conan O'Brien. And so when I was working at that company that did print on demand merchandise for YouTubers, we were working with the biggest YouTubers in the world, like PewDiePie and all the original OG YouTubers. And my team that I was building there, I was running the graphics team, the illustrators, the marketing side pretty much. I would constantly be listening to Gary's stuff and try to bring it back to the company. And they were like, this is crazy. We're not listening to that. And I was like, but everything I ever did that worked was something that came from a nugget of what Gary said. I was like, this guy knows what he's talking about. So it was just probably like his bravioso or his swearing that kind of turned off people. But I was like, no, man, this guy's legit. Like the passion economy, you can blame the whole creator economy and influencers, I think, on Gary Vaynerchuk. Like Gary Vee did it. He showed you that you could just be passionate about Legos or Smurfs or whatever and make a whole living around it. So, I mean, that really resonates with comic book people, I'm sure. Like
it does,
so because you could just have an imagination and tell stories and bring them to life and build your audience online with social media for free.
Yeah.
So pretty crazy.
It is. Yeah, my buddy and I were just talking about Gary today because my buddy used to go to garage sales and flip stuff. And he's like, then Gary started telling people, you need to go on and do this. And he'd show up at these sales and all these people are looking stuff up. He's like, man, you're killing it for me. Yeah. But it's the formula, it's the formula that my buddy was following with his flipping. And Gary was just letting other people know how to do it too.
Yeah, I stopped listening to Gary because there was some content he put out where he's like, stop watching me. Go do the thing. And I was like, he's right. To a point, I was like watching too much content about doing a thing instead of actually going and doing the thing. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go do the thing now. Thanks, Gary. And I shut him off for maybe a couple of years. And then he started popping back up again because I was reading a lot of Stoicism. So I feel like the algorithm was kind of like, here's Gary Vaynerchuk again. And now it's the new Gary who's got like the more VeeFriends vibe of like gratitude, patience, kindness, and like all these cool things that we need. And I'm like, wait a minute, is this the same? I was like, this is the same, same swearing guy, but like he swears a little less. But so that was I just started like I just vibe with that. I vibe with stoicism and positivity and all that stuff. So
now, did they reach out to you? You said Gary was like, hey, this is the guy. Like, how did this all come to be with your role there with VeeFriends?
Well, without getting too frou-frou-y or metaphysical or anything like that, because it does feel like sometimes it's just like, man, this is like kismet or the universe like rearranging stuff.
I'm definitely had too many things occur that I have trouble believing in coincidence. I see a lot of synchronicities and things in my life where paths connected in a way that did not seem random to me. So that makes life fun, I think. Hit me with it. You're not going to bug me with it at all. Okay, I will hit you with it. I'll try to make the short version of this. I was working at that company for about 12 years, working with YouTubers. It was a German company, but they were big in the United States too. They didn't really understand the American way of marketing. They were very European, so it was always a European American Gary Vee. Yeah. European, all high fashion, all that stuff. So I was making YouTubers like millions of dollars off of merch designs because like we knew what to do. And I got to meet all these YouTubers. And so when I would go to these conventions like Vid Summit, that's Mr. Beast's show. And I loved it because I was like hanging around these people that all had different passions. And a lot of my homies started to become like teachers of YouTube channels. And they're like, DJ, what's going on? They would Google my name and be like, you used to do comic books. You're the Hero by Night guy. And I'm like, yeah. But And so I had a lot of those guys, Roberto Blake, shout out Roberto Blake, Daniel Batal, Nick Nittman, all these teachers of YouTube that like really became my friends would be like, DJ, this isn't your passion. Working for YouTubers ain't your passion, bro. Like you need to get back to comics and make a YouTube channel about that. And so I was kind of torn because I was kind of 12 years in, or I was about 10 years in at that time. And I was like, I'm too comfortable.
in this corporate environment. The salary was
Right.
good. The benefits were good, and I was happy, but I was like also, wanting to do my own thing again. And meanwhile, you'd have little pieces of content from Gary or other people pop up and say, you should quit your day job if you're not happy. And ironically, I came up with a marketing advertising for YouTubers saying, quit your day job to go sell merch. So I'm like, I'm taking my own advice now. I was like, what do I take the leap? What do I do here? So these guys would just hammer me, these YouTube coaches like Daniel Batal, like, DJ, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? You could be so big. Like, I was like, I don't want to be big. I just want to be comfortable with I do what I love,
Yeah.
And so I don't want to be Mr. Beast of comic books or whatever. Like, who cares about that? So I decided I said, I'm going to quit that job. So I quit it in January. I quit that job. It shocked everybody at the company. I had no safety net. I did find like a small agency that I hired, and they were like, okay, now are you on the market? I'll go work for you guys for a minute. But I'm not, I'm temporary because I'm building my own brand. And I went to that
January 2025.
This is 2023.
2023. Okay.
Or 2024, January 2024.
Okay.
Right? I think. No, January 2023.
Time's going by quick, man.
Yeah, 2023. Sorry, it was 2023, January. I quit. March 17th was my last day. My wife was working for somebody. And again, I knew about Gary and I knew about him launching the VeeFriends as NFTs and all. I didn't really understand any of that part of it. Like
I still
NFTs
don't.
and all that. I'm just like, I know we're big into that, but I'm like, I don't care about any of it. But she had a ticket to VCon 2. So VCon was the VeeFriends conventions that were happening. There were 3. And she's like, hey, I got an extra ticket through her job. Would you want to go? And I'm like, well, yeah, I'll go hang out. So I went to that show. And ironically, I just kind of was like, I'm gonna let the universe take me wherever. And so we went to this like brunch with all these people, and they're all VeeFriends collectors. And this one young lady said, hey, we're all going to do I'm just there for the breakfast, man. And she's like, we're going to do a guided meditation now. And I'm like, I've never done this before, like, I don't want to do this. And I just whatever, I'll do it. So I did this guided meditation. And when I did that, I just didn't feel good. Like everyone's like, oh, meditation feels so good and all this stuff. I'm like, I didn't like it. It just felt like, oh, that kid that was inside of me was being protected. All the stuff that life and trauma bring you that you didn't know was there. It opened up, dude.
Came to the surface.
And I was like, oh no. So I'm like, I'm not doing that again. I'm like, I'll forget that. We'll just forget that ever happened. And then I went to the econ, and like, I think Deepak Chopra or somebody, couple speakers were talking about, hey, let's all do a guided meditation now. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So I felt like I needed to do some like soul searching. I was like, I'm going to go work for VeeFriends. There was not even in the car. I was just like, this is cool. Gary's up. These are really great speakers. This was a really great show. I'm motivated. I'm going to go build. I was already planning on building my channel and my brand up, Draw or Die, which I'm still running, motivational brand for artists and stuff like that, and working on my own comics. And went to Vid Summit that year in October. So that was all summer. I was building and building and building. Went to Vid Summit, not as a corporate guy working for a company. It was just DJ, hanging out with all these YouTube homies. And they're like, when are you going to launch? I'm like, I'm launching the channel. I got the plan. I get sick at that show. But I was having doubts. You always have these doubts where you're like, no one's going to care about this. I was going to launch a 4-panel comic strip, adventure comic strip. Yeah. That's what my jam was. Terry and the Pirates, all that stuff. And I was going to do that. And I remember having some conversations, I think with Daniel Batal and Nick Nimmin. And I just said, I don't think anyone's going to want this. And they were like, slap. What are you doing? Like, you're doing it again. You're doubting yourself. You got to go, man. Just do it. And I was like, people will find you that are out there that want this. And I'm like, you're right. So I got all psyched up, but then I got sick at that show.
Oh, man.
I was awful, dead sick. And I was like, no, I can't do the plan because my voice sucked. I was coughing. And I'm like, oh, I can't launch any live streams now because I was going to live stream my whole process of drawing this comic strip live as I built my audience and stuff like that, which I still think is a great idea, by the way.
Oh, for sure.
And I came back and I was just depressed. I couldn't sleep. I'm up late at night and I see a tweet from Gary Vaynerchuk right after I just said, no one cares about comic strips anymore. And Gary tweeted, I'm hiring a comic strip artist, writer must have 5 years of experience. And I was like, this is 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm reading this. My wife's sleeping, and I'm like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. And I didn't know. I was like, long story short, I just decided I'm going to do it live. I asked around. I said, like, who are the VeeFriends? What are their stories? There weren't any stories like that I could find. Who are the most famous ones? I don't know. They just pick whatever ones you want. And I was like, this is kind of, this doesn't have a direction right now. It's just a lot of characters. Like, it's a lot of characters without stories. And if you really think about it, Pokemon's kind of like that too. Like,
for sure.
They don't have an origin story of Jigglypuff that I know of or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? But it could be cool. So I just decided the next day to turn on my live stream on my camera. The feed is still up somewhere on my channel. And I just decided to start my sample for VeeFriends live.
Oh, cool.
And that started to get around behind the scenes. I know more to this story now, but they started like linking it. Hey, check out this guy. And as I'm talking, the second night my wife was on, and we're just sitting there talking about how we would make a modern comic strip with all the tools and shit that we have now, how we would build an audience, how we would use technology to do this, and live stream the community. And Andy, the president of VeeFriends, who's like Gary's right hand, was listening in the chat, and he said, "Hey, it's Andy from VeeFriends. Do you want to have a meeting?" And I was like, "All right, let's go."
Wow.
So probably 2 weeks later, I was on with Gary. Gary, I know him a lot now, and he said something like, he's real like rap. He's like machine gun fire. Like he doesn't waste time. Like he's very famous for short meetings, and now I am too usually because you can just get to the point. What are we talking about here? What's the thing? And he said, like, hey, I read all about you. I watched all your content, and you're the perfect person for this job. All the stuff that you've been through, your history in comics, it makes you a better storyteller. Do you want this job? And I was like, well, yeah. And he said, could you do it for the next 50 years? And I was like, well, I don't know. I can lose some weight and eat better.
Yeah.
But yeah, away we went. I was only hired to do comic strips. Like a weekly comic strip, and I talked them into daily, and they just let me run for a while. Like Gary and I would text back and forth, and so the VeeFriends started to get like rapid character development, is what I called it. So suddenly, someone that was collecting Flexing Fox, there was no story before, and now you had a little comic strip, and they were getting excited. So the holders, like the collectors of these characters, were like, "Oh my god, I can't wait for my character to appear."
Yeah.
Gary saw that action, but was also like, I don't really feel. He just wasn't feeling like, we got to go deeper, DJ. So he called me up one time and said, do you think we could, and this was the deepest thing. Like, I remember this conversation, it was like, wow, this is odd on a Sunday afternoon to have this conversation. Gary said, DJ, do you think we can use comics to change people's lives? And I said, yes. And he said, do you think a comic book could stop somebody from killing themselves? And I was like, absolutely, I do.
Yeah.
I think story and the power of comics and story is just so much beyond superheroes and whatever, So I was like, 100%. Yep, we're speaking the same language. He's like, let's do it. Let's go deeper. We could tell stories on the surface. I need to work with you on this. And, away we went. So we had that first issue out. VeeFriends #1 came out, was like a special thing. That was before this conversation. It was just supposed to be a special one-shot thing that was coming out. They had J. Scott Campbell do the cover. They had no real story, so I just made up a story and presented it, and they're like, this is freaking awesome. So that was kind of kicking around in their head, was like, wow, this story is awesome. You did a great job. How can we do this? Can we make a real go at this comics thing? And I'm like, let's do it. So.
And now it's evolved into so much more.
Yeah, I think, it was Gary that, like, again, happened really lightning fast, but he's like, let's hire more people. So DJ, go find the right people. And it wasn't just go hire people off the street, that could draw well. It was like, find people that are like family, that know how to do this, that are strong, that are like, could do this really well for us. They don't have to be the best, but they should just be knowing how to do it, the right mindset, and, to be able to blend with the team. And so we built the comics team. So we have 5, right now there's 5 full-time, including myself, Jim Rugg, who recently joined, Ali Castro, Kate Windell's Kate Comics, and Chris Faison. And
Nice.
they're all capable of doing what I said. They could write, draw, illustrate everything magnificently. Or, I've been doing a lot of the writing too for them.
Hmm.
And then Jim Rugg's the same way. So Jim's like writing for some other artists now too.
Yeah.
So Gary's like, we finally got the monthly thing down. And then Gary's like, let's do 2 a month. And as you know, like we're doing the like the bagged comics,
Yes.
which we could talk a little bit about that too. I know it's
Yeah,
kind
let's
of
talk
a
about
little
it all, man.
controversial sometimes in comics, but like, yeah, the
The blind bags.
blind bag books. Now,
But see, you know what? It takes me back to the excitement of opening baseball cards.
yeah. So an interesting thing about this blind bag thing was nobody was doing it. Nobody was doing the blind bags, but behind the scenes, Gary said it to me. He said, DJ, we're going to do the mini comics, blind bagged, foil bags, just like large trading card packs. Because
Yep.
he knew the trading card market. He had helped explode the trading card stores.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I don't know if you knew that, but
Oh, yeah.
he exploded that side. And then he said, okay, now I want to do it with comic books. We're going to do blind bags. But in order to do all of this with like cracked ice, shimmer, it's not just hollow foil. Those are easy effects to do.
Hmm.
Though the effects that we're doing from trading cards on comic books is something that hasn't been done. We talked to the suppliers and they're like, you guys are crazy because you only want 50 of these? We're like, yeah, 50. And they're like, it's going to cost an arm and a leg. And so, we just did a lot of trial and error. And as we were testing, I believe Marvel dropped a blind bag thing on Whatnot. They were just repackaging old stuff pretty much, or like repackaging old issues. And I was like, oh my God. So I didn't know if like they tried to beat it because like they're like, oh, Gary's onto this thing because Gary's involved with Whatnot. And so they beat, not that no would beat anybody but they definitely came out and dropped before because he wanted to be the one that was like, guess what? Blind bags are back and it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cool, it's not a gimmick. It's not a scam. Like there's value in it. It's fun for new collectors. And bringing new people into comic books is one of Gary's major goals.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Just like he did for trading cards or wine. Like he got so many people into collecting wine with his dad's wine store. And so this is all music to my ears, like that we can bring new readers in. David Mack, who we started getting bigger cover artists too. So we did David Mack, Jay Lee. He's like, DJ, go find me all the cool kids. Well, I only knew I didn't know David or Jay Lee. I knew Jim Rugg and I knew Jim Mahfood and like all the punk rock guys of comics, right?
For sure.
So I was getting those guys for a while, and then he's like, we got to go bigger. Let's go get David Mack and Jay Lee and even bigger names. And so it's just been a process, a process of building these and also making sure that the stories are good.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So the stories have to be good. It can't just be like 22 pages of nothing happening,
Yeah.
So,
You got to keep people engaged for sure.
Yeah.
Now, is Gary a comic book fan? Is he? I haven't got to. I figured, I've always assumed that he was, but I haven't really delved into too many of his videos where he talked about it. Is he pretty deep into comics, or was he as a kid?
Yeah, I don't think Gary was like a regular reader of comics, but he was definitely like collecting them or flipping them, and like he knew all about like. He jokes a lot about having like a ton of Valiant books when he had like, and he got stuck with a bunch because like he would like wheel and he was more like the dealer of comics.
He's probably got a bunch of Turok chromium.
Yeah, or I forget the other one, the one with the red symbol on his.
Solar.
No, not Solar. Shoot.
Oh, Bloodshot. Bloodshot. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I got a whole warehouse full of Bloodshot. Yeah. So, but he does know a lot. Like he is a child of the 80s, just like I am, and maybe you are. And so He-Man, GI Joe, all these wholesome things that kind of like help build us as men or, young, like, right? Transformers, exactly. Like that vibe of nostalgia plus Gary's all in on. Like he knows all that stuff. Yeah. And he's got the story stuck in his head. So that's interesting to me.
That is, yeah.
Is that when you go and do a brainstorm session with him, like where we're locked down for like 2 days, Gary will just like give you the most wild like concept that might even be a little jarring because he doesn't want to go basic. Like he doesn't want to just do oh, that sounds too basic. Let's not do that. Let's do it this way. Can you guys make that work? So it's a really cool, I always liked the Marvel method of creating, which was like they had a plot and then they just let the artist run.
Giving the artist a lot more creative freedom.
And then there's Gary calls it 10-80-10, where the first 10%, a leader comes in and goes, this is the direction I want to go. So that would have been like Stan Lee. Mm-hmm. Stan Lee saying, hey, Jack, go draw me Galactus fighting the. Jack goes away, does the 80% of the work, and then comes back, and then Stan goes, and then now you've got something, something bigger. So he calls it 10-80-10. I call it the Marvel method pretty much. But it's a good leadership tactic too, to kind of like allow empowering your creators and your people. So, yeah.
What is your official role with VeeFriends now? Because I feel like you're wearing a lot of different hats. We've been talking about writing comics, doing strips daily, all sorts of stuff. What is it kind of forming into for you? Are you still jumping around, or is it narrowed a little bit?
I mean, titles are always weird. They've always been weird in any company, but whenever I was hired to do the comic strip, it was comic strip and character development. It was basically character and story development for these characters. Our previous creative director left, and they were doing more like traditional creative director stuff, like advertisements for, product design or VCon and like a whole width of things. But Gary sees story as the main driver for the brand. So when he left, the other creative director, shout out to Eric, when he left, there was kind of this void where it was like, we could reimagine this. DJ, do you want to be the creative director? And I was like, well, yeah, but I don't want to leave story. He said, no, we don't, not leaving story. You're just running the story department, and then we'll help guide VeeFriends into a certain look and feel and tone across everything. Because the characters have to kind of, you're going to see in the new Topps cards that are coming out, in the new super sticker cards, super stickers, there are comic inserts now. So cool. Now people are understanding the stories. So that's kind of my job also. It's like to drive the story Bibles and be like, hey, listen, the wizard's missing a hand. If I see someone drawing, or hey guys, we got to take the hand off. Like, I'm always kind of like, not the police of that, but like there's definitely Gary said, like, learn as much about these characters as possible and absorb it, and just be able to one day, when there's an animation studio involved or something like that, I'll be the guy that's like reviewing things, making sure that it's all on par for the story. Yeah, it's basically like
on model
editor in chief kind of thing, but it's definitely like an executive. My title now is executive creative director.
Very cool. Keeping you busy.
Yeah, keeping us busy.
Probably going to figure out more things for you to do too.
Get
these great ideas,
Yeah, I told Gary, I said, I'm all in for VeeFriends just because, hey, the comics are great. That's still going to be my passion 1,000%. But I do believe in the VeeFriends brand, because I've seen the community out there where, that little bit of positivity or that little bit of kindness in this world that's kind of crazy right now.
Yeah.
I just believe in that.
It goes a long way.
Yeah, I'm all in on it. So,
yeah. Now, with being so busy doing all that, you mentioned you still are working on your personal stuff too. So what all does that entail for you? I mean, obviously a lot of time management going into making sure that you can still chip away on your own stuff that you're passionate about.
Yeah, I'm pretty fulfilled. Like, that's funny because another artist on the team asked me, like, DJ, what are you about your own comic ideas? And I'm like, I don't really to me, ideas are just a dime a dozen. You know what I mean? Like, my ideas can only go so far, and I'm fine with that, right?
Yeah.
I know that the ideas that we use through Gary can go way further and reach more people. So my art, my stories, all that stuff can reach way more people through someone like Gary. So I'm fine with that. I still run the Daily Drawing Club, which is the Draw or Die brand, because it's a motivational brand for, we've got a few thousand artists in that. There's a daily drawing club where the prompts come out. I don't make as much content for that anymore. As a matter of fact, none at all right now. But every day there's a new drawing prompt that comes out, and it's there. And I still talk to, I almost use it as a pool of artists to choose from too. Like, if I need to. Of course, I hope that the artists are in the right mindset with there's a lot of artists that are just dealing with AI stuff and being depressed.
Yeah.
And, I try to, my motto at Draw or Die is stay encouraged.
Yes.
Like, keep the artist encouraged, like, it's so hard to do any of this for a living, but who cares about that? Go work your day job, go work your 9 to 5 and still draw every day.
Yeah.
Because drawing
absolutely.
just feels good, man. Like it feels good when you're in the zone. Like you don't judge yourself, don't judge your own art. Like just do your best, like even if it's drawing a pinup of Wolverine and Deadpool or whatever, who cares? Like draw what you want to draw and just use that time as almost like a meditative state.
Yeah.
People want to play music as well. Like,
oh yeah,
don't stop playing music because you can't be a full-time musician. Like that doesn't make any sense. Like, you got to keep doing it. That's why it's draw or die, like you draw or die. Like
I like that.
That's the passion.
Yeah, I've been working hard recently on making sure that, because I'm very busy. I run a full-time business and have a quote unquote real job, but it also happens to be one of my other passions, which is martial arts. And, but I'm trying to be fulfilled with, even if I have a small amount of time on a given day, I still do something. Like, even if I know I'm only going to be able to sketch for 15 minutes, it's still better than no sketching. It doesn't have to be a perfectly laid out hour of drawing. It's like, no, just draw, like just get it done.
Yeah. I've got a couple exercises when I encounter people all the time that are like, I wish I could draw. I'm like, you can. Here's these real simple exercises, scribble challenges. And like, you might feel like you're a little kid again where you're like, wait, it's scribble challenge. What's this? Like, yeah, it's fun. Remember being a kid? Like, remember playing with toys and like making up, using your imagination? Like, I think more people need to tap into that. So many people are just like, their imagination gets dulled because of life, work, all the pressure around you, right? You got to just get rid of that noise and really get back to doing what you love, whatever that is. Some people kind of even forget that. They forget what they loved when they were a kid,
I think we do, and I think a lot of it has to do with, you think, like, if I'm going to devote time for something, it has to somehow make money or hold some kind of value or currency, like a monetary number to it, not just doing it because you want to do it and because it's fun and it's a nice escape and everything.
Yeah, it'll never be good enough. It'll never be good enough for anyone else. You have to be good enough for yourself. Like I said, and people are shocked, like, whenever I would say, like, when I worked at Platinum, I think I was making like 80 grand a year drawing comic, right? That was a good haul, right?
Yeah.
And people
that's a good haul by modern standards. And
like
for the big two.
But what does one person say? Like one person says, well, are you working for Marvel though? That's
exactly.
Like, you're kidding me, right? Like, how much do you have to do? Like, it'll never be good enough for other people. You have to do it for yourself. And figuring that part out and just kind of pushing away that noise is just, it's an exercise. It's a practice to do that.
Yes.
You have to just little by little just start to remove those people from your life as you can. I know it's not easy sometimes, but sometimes it gets a little messy with I had to stop. I had this best friend for so many years. We were like, we can't, like, we were just like degenerates almost with our humor and all that stuff, but he was so negative. And we could always feel when he was around that it would just bring it down, like bring down the mood. And then he would leave and I would still be like, oh man, I don't feel good. Yeah. Or like, I don't feel creative.
He was feeding. He was an energy vampire.
Yeah. So
that's those kind of people. They feed by bringing the negativity and bring you down where they're at, and then they take off.
Yeah. Negativity and cynicism is easy. It's real easy to fall into that.
It is.
Because if it can feel good for a second, like, yeah, we're all part of the same crew that are fighting against the man or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like, you're just like, oh, it's like toxic, but it takes a little more work to be positive and start to see the positive in things, but it feels so much better. And then you just become like almost like a superpower in and of itself when you believe in yourself. And you can visualize, and when you can visualize things, that's another thing that sounds like magic or something to some people, but I'm like, no, it's true. I've done it enough times, and I've been around enough successful people that say the same thing, that you have to visualize what you want and take an action, whether it's 10 minutes a day or whatever. And then the world starts to rearrange itself. We just talked to Attack Peter. He's the cover artist for issue
Oh,
12.
cool. Is that the one that was carved?
Yeah. So
Wood carved and then made into
yeah, it's like a linoleum cut or something like
oh,
that.
that's so
Yeah.
cool.
I'm going to get the terminology wrong, but it is
Yeah.
super cool. And he said the same thing, like he used to go to work early in the morning and get to work early and work for 2 hours on his own stuff before he was a school teacher, and he had to like
Mm,
teach other people stuff. But like he said, when he started to devote that time to himself, it was hard to do it. But then the universe just started to like, okay, this is
yeah,
what this guy wants, and you'll get more of it. The more you focus on one sort of thing, the more you get of that thing. That's just a law. It's like a
it's
law
true.
of nature.
Yeah, it's
So
funny. Like, I'm a Brazilian jiu-jitsu coach, and I always tell my students that are trying to be great at competition, the mental aspect is such a huge part of it, and the visualization. Like to become a world champion, like for me, I didn't become a world champion until I was able to get in that headspace of the mental development and the visualization. And
yeah,
you start studying, and everybody from Kobe Bryant to Michael Jordan is attributing a lot of their success to
yeah,
having mental coaching and applying these principles. But it's also like you said, people just think like, oh no, that's not real or whatever. And then
yeah.
you do it and you're like, oh crap, this
Well,
stuff
it is
people have
real.
been saying, this thing that Michael
Yeah,
Jordan said actually was true.
yeah. There's something to it for sure.
Yeah.
And like again, it's nice to take all that knowledge as an old timer now, I guess,
Yeah.
and try to instill it into stories. So in the VeeFriends comics, for sure, and all the comics are available to read for free too at veefriends.com/comics. We know that not everybody can afford our comics or afford to buy new comics, but you can always read the stories for free. And there's like these lines about legacy, finding your true self, overcoming fear, defeating cynicism. They're all
Hmm.
there under the undercurrents under the surface that will make you like feel inspired when you read and get involved with the community too, because um, they're so supportive of each other. When one person goes down, whole different lifestyle. They might be from a whole other realm of life, and they're having a down day or something like that. That community comes in and just raises them up. And
Yeah,
it's everything that Gary really preaches, and well, preaches is a weird word, but shouts from the rooftops. You could
for
see it in the
sure.
community at VeeFriends, and that's what makes VeeFriends a lot different in the comic book world. I don't see that much in
No.
yeah. So
No, you don't see it much in the comic book world or the world in general in a lot of
yeah.
instances. So it's definitely something special.
Yeah, we were at San Diego Comic Con. We were just kind of there doing some meetings, like meeting with David Mack and Jay Lee, and um, just kind of just being not stealthy, but like just, hey, we're going where it matters, having the right conversations. And I we posted from the bar, like me and Andy, the president, we were like, let's do a VeeFriends flash meetup at the lobby downstairs on tomorrow morning at 11.
Yeah.
And there were people that drove like 2 hours to
Oh
come
my
and meet. So
goodness.
like about 25 or so people showed up. And as they showed up at this lobby, everybody was like, what, who are these guys? Like, what, like, are they famous or like, are they, like to be able to draw a crowd of fans to
Yeah.
your lobby from within 24 hours, people dropped what they were doing and drove. Maybe they were trying to get a collectible. Maybe they were just trying to, get a drawing for me or something, but that's cool. Like it's a cool, it's a cool thing to do. We might do it again we're going to be a Comics Pro uh, the week that we're recording this. It's a retailer convention for comic books, comic book
Nice.
shops.
Yeah.
And we'll be out there showing our comics out. And that's in Los Angeles. So we've got some fans in LA, and just maybe reach out and say like, hey, come down and meet us. Talk to Jim Rugg, talk to David Mack, sit in the hotel lobby and hang out for a little while. That's kind of fun to do with your hardcore true fans.
Yeah. It sounds like you guys are beyond just putting out great comics and things. You're sharing a lot of very cool principles in building community.
Yeah, community is everything, I think, beyond the stories. Probably the stories are first, then community second, I'd say. Because if you don't have the stories, if you don't have the spirit behind the stories too. I think VeeFriends always had the spirit behind the brand.
Yeah.
And then with the stories, it just makes it even more powerful. And especially getting the stories out from the guy who created it. People were saying like, oh, Gary Vee's like Stan Lee, and you know, not for nothing, like that's cool that people are saying that, but like Gary's just like he's almost like a better version of Stan. I didn't see Stan Lee out there like telling people to, go to garage sales and flip things or change their life or anything, like Gary's on some other level of stuff. So I'm hoping that I know even the dinner that we were having at New York Comic Con, you had Rob Liefeld there, you had J. Scott Campbell, a bunch of other top people, and they said there's no leadership in comics right now. Everybody's in their own little silos, and they either battle each other or compete against each other, and they're not trying to bring new people in, which is a weird, and Gary has the power to do that.
Yes.
When we were on live streams with David Mack in New York, and David, I don't think knew what to think, but we did a Whatnot show it was at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night after a full day at New York Comic Con, because Gary just don't stop. We go over there, David Mack sits down, he's signing some stuff. They put the stuff up for sale. I think he sold 100 prints in like a second. And it was just like the numbers on the screen were going up, and David's like, whoa, I've never seen anything like this. You don't need comic book stores much anymore. Like there's people that could say that. I would say, no, you do need a comic book store, because that's where your community can come and hang out.
Exactly.
You need that third space. A Whatnot stream is okay, and these live commerce things, of course, for making some money and keeping the lights on and building the virtual community. But being in person at a comic book store and being able to go in and have conversations with your friends and making new friends, and making, not for nothing, but if we can bring more people into comic book stores that are buying more,
yes,
you're going to sell more comics. Like people say, like, well, why are your books $24? It's like, because people will pay that. You might not think that, but people pay that a lot. So
they do.
It's almost like this mindset of like, well, we can't sell this or sell that because they're not finding the right customers that are willing to spend that money in their shops. And they don't know there's so many people out there that have money and they don't even know there's a comic book store in their town, and they've got kids and they're like, wait a minute. We hear this every day now where they're like, we didn't even know comic book stores existed.
Yeah.
And now I got something cool to do with my kids, like the gaming stores too, like where they can go and like play Pokemon together. Like people just didn't even know that these existed. Like that's wild, isn't it? Like
it really is.
Because you'd think like everyone should know, but like people just don't know.
No.
Because we don't market it enough. Like comic books are cool. Nerd stuff is cool, like
it is. I love it, man. I love what you guys are doing. And, as we come close to wrapping up here at the end, I want to give you opportunity to let everybody know kind of what they should be on the lookout for, anything from your personal stuff that you want to share. This episode, this is going to come out probably in a month or so, but what should they be on the lookout for that you're real excited about?
Yeah. Well, we're dropping 2 comics a month now.
Nice.
And you don't have to buy anything to be a part of the community. You can come and just hang out. There's a lot of giveaways in those streams. Like we give away a lot of stuff. So some of my drawing streams in the mornings, that's all I have is giveaways. So I'm like giveaway. So you don't have to have money to be hanging out in our community. 2 comics drop a month. It's me and Jim Rugg and the comics team, like putting out some really interesting stories, different types of stories in the comic book world. And now we are developing series based on these characters. So issue 7 was Notorious Ninja. There's going to be a series based on Notorious Ninja that we're working on. So we're kind of using the VeeFriends title, like this is the VeeFriends title, as kind of a testing audience of like, okay, people want more of that story. Let's develop it on the side and hire more people to do that. And that'll be a more traditional comic book offering in shops. That won't be a $25 item, unless there's a foil of that or something out there.
Yeah.
We do want to have more accessible comic book stories to local shops, but we also want to see, like, why give a shop $5 a book? We can give them $20 a book. Like if they could actually make more money, we would love to see shops making more money. But yeah, so that's all I would say is like read the comics. I'm always saying read more comics. The comics are there for free at VeeFriends. And this is what I'm all in on, man. Like
I
I'm
love
all
it.
in on building VeeFriends. There's not much more to plug. I've got a drawing brand, but drawing is easy. You just pick up a pencil and paper and just draw something,
Just do
like,
it.
yeah, you got YouTube, you got all this stuff that you could teach, you could teach yourself anything these days.
Endless resources compared to what you and I had coming up with our
Absolutely.
VHS comic book greats, Stan Lee,
Yeah.
where we got to see the guys draw for 5 minutes at the end and
Yeah.
try to learn.
There are no more excuses. Like all you have is excuses. You have all the tools in the world. You could do anything you want in life. Like you can have
Yes.
any kind of tunnel vision you want. So I had comics tunnel vision, but you can have any kind of tunnel vision you want and make a go of it. So that's my final words to leave
Awesome,
everyone with.
DJ. Thank you so much, man. I know how busy you are. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today.
Absolutely, man. Anytime.
I would love to have you back on and let everybody know where the best places to follow and keep track of you online are.
Yeah, I'm at DJ Coffman, Coffman, on most or all socials and mostly Instagram. And then VeeFriends.com. You can check out all the VeeFriends stuff we're doing.
Awesome. And do you have a website of your own as well?
Oh, it's very outdated.
Okay.
With DJ Cobb, yeah, you don't want to go there. I haven't updated that website in a long time.
I'm gonna go there.
Yeah,
Study some of the old work.
Site, but yeah, I should update it, but.
Awesome,
cool,
buddy. Well, hang out with me here for a moment while I chat with everybody. Everybody listening or watching, thank you guys so much for being here. I love bringing on amazing guests, creative people for you guys to learn more about. If you're enjoying the podcast, I would encourage you to hit the like, subscribe, share with a friend. It just ensures that more people get to come and watch and hang out with us and get notified that the podcast exists. If you want to give an extra level of support, you can head over to patreon.com/Nerdy Mewzings. And in the meantime, everybody, keep it nerdy.